Welcome to the Throw Show. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the dirt bike king, the pride of Parkland, Pennsylvania. Legend, Boyson Hayes. Legend, thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys. It's an honor.
I mean, you're sort of forced to be here more than anything.
I don't know if you really had a choice.
Didn't have a choice, but yeah, it's better than nothing.
So I'll give a brief intro about Legend and how he and I sort of met in the beginning, and then where he's come from, and then we'll just dive right into it. So Legend is originally from Pennsylvania. At least he graduated from high school in Pennsylvania, actually nearby where Garage Strength is, about 30 minutes away. What was your PR in high school, discus?
Like 149.6.
Okay, so he threw 149.6 in high school. He went to Christopher Newport University where he played football. And then last year as a senior, he was the Division III NCAA runner-up in the discus. And what'd you throw? 54?
54, 42, 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
You throw that at the national meet?
Yeah, that was at the national meet. Yeah.
So he's the NCAA runner-up and ends up, I don't even know if you were looking or you were talking to Cam.
I was looking at Cam's social media.
Okay.
And he was just like lifting or something. I was like, I'll check these guys out.
Yeah, so Legend essentially saw Cam. Cam was training with Noah, Sam, and then you ended up emailing us.
Yeah, I emailed you. The funny thing was I was at my grandmother's place, and I did like the GPS because I figured like you guys would be like in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. Because I knew it was in PA because I saw Sam throw like a couple years ago at William and Mary.
Oh, okay.
And I knew of Garage Train, but I didn't know where you guys were.
You were at that meet?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. You were there?
I was there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, probably saw you back in the day.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where exactly in PA it was, but it was like 15, 20 minutes on the GPS. And I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
No way. So I literally hopped in my car and I drove to Garage Train.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what's good?
Yeah.
That's really how it went. Yeah.
So I guess that would be the best intro to, you know, his athletic career. Then he was a collegiate football player, but on top of that, he was a, you know, NCAA runner-up, All American. Did you All American before that?
I went to NCAAs, but did not All American.
Okay, so you know, national runner-up, and I think what intrigued me the most is that typically, you know, when I get somebody that comes in, one, I want to abuse them as much as possible immediately, as much as I can, because I want to see what they can take. Because if they can take it, then I know they're going to be good. If they can't take it and they leave and they never come back, I don't care, because they're never going to be a champion, and that's okay. And that's sort of the way I'm wired, is that I want to get anybody. I believe anyone that comes in can be that next Olympian even. And that's the thing, is that, you know, Legend came in, even though he showed up late a couple times. And he was thrown up in the bathroom a few times as well.
Oh yeah.
You took to the training pretty well, and then on top of that, you know, when I think, you know, the discussion that we had before we even went back to school to finish up this past fall, before you know, so we'll go into that later. You know, and the stuff that you were saying to me, and the way you were communicating with me, and what your goals were, I believed in what you were saying, that, and I think I believed in you because I knew that you believed in those goals too.
Oh, yeah.
And that spoke a lot to me. And he, Legend, and Cam, and Noah, and I mean even Alex Rose. You know, these are the guys that I like, love. The ones that, you know, Sam's a little bit of a different story because he was so good in college, whereas Noah, you, Cam, Alex, it's more like you've got something to prove, and people forget that with Alex. They even forget that, you know, he was a guy that nobody really cared about, and that's the thing with you, is it's like I saw it like, yeah, you threw 54 meters. Nobody really knows who you are. They don't care about you. You're nobody.
Yeah, D3.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what attracted me so much was what you said. And then on top of that, what you did all fall, and then you came here, you know, you came to Garage Strength in the middle of January, or was it February?
You talking about for
like when you moved here?
Oh, when I moved here was January 28th.
Okay, so you moved here January 28th, but prior to that, we go to Grand Valley, and it was sort of like a checkup on like, okay, what has Legend been doing? Mm-hmm. And we go to Grand Valley, and you go almost hit a PR indoors.
Yeah, almost hit a PR.
And you and Cam
all time, but it was indoors.
Yeah, and you and Cam are lighting it up. Yeah. And that's where I remember sitting there saying to Trevor, and we've had this discussion on the podcast before, where it's like, you know, that's what you guys threw was what Noah threw there last year. Yeah. And that's where I was sitting there like, yo, and you guys have that work ethic. You know, you have that understanding, and you have something to prove. And that's where I was like, I think I remember sitting in the van going, after Grand Valley, saying, you know, Legend's the real deal. He is the real deal. Not yet, but he's the real deal. He is the real deal right now, but nobody knows yet. And then with Cam, I remember saying, Cam, I always thought you had the dumbest Instagram name. But maybe it's not that dumb.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
So, and people are going to say I'm an idiot for saying that, and I don't care because we'll see what happens. So I just, that's sort of this roundabout way of, maybe that's a little long-winded introduction.
Long-winded intro, but gives us a full detail.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you lead us through a little bit how, like, just what your college experience was like. So you were a two-sport athlete. Yeah. So what your college experience was like, and how, like, your kind of, I don't know, what you thought of throwing while you're in college, and what led you to this point here where you're training full-time as a thrower.
Well, honestly,
don't forget he's working
working.
Yeah, working. Even up to like a little bit past nationals, like I was still unsure of whether I was going to do it, like after college. But I'll go all the way from the beginning. So I did football and track in high school. And doing two sports in high school was easier because you don't have like responsibilities. Like college, like the academics is just such a different level, and really the first thing I learned was like time management. Like, oh snap, like you don't get to class, you don't keep up the GPA, you really won't like play on the field. And CNU, like the football program, is really like a really like high grade football. Like you got to make sure you're on time. There's no slacking off. And at the time, so that my senior year, we got a new head coach, but the head coach that used to be there, Coach Couch, and it was really harping, like, you know, you got to get your grades straight, like be a stand-up, you know, person and all of that. So it really was like a good period for me to like straighten up and get all my like personal stuff straightened out as a, like, just a human being, you know, instead of not just football. Like there's all sorts, like getting your grades right, you know, hygiene, like making sure you're good with communication and all that stuff. So the first couple
me about hygiene in college.
I don't know why that just popped in my brain. So the first couple years, really football and track was good. I wasn't like outstanding at all. Like I won conference my freshman year in disc with 46 meters, which was decent for like a for a freshman, but like not for a conference. So it was like,
that's pretty much the same as my conference.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So it was like, all right, potential is there, but still was not like, oh, he might be national potential. But next year, sophomore year, I didn't even PR. I didn't PR. I did like non-reverse throw all year because my technique was so like trash. My coach was like adamant on like non-reverse, get right out the back, because I was just athletic enough to just jump at the finish, which I still kind of do sometimes when I'm not focusing. But
so you're not focusing when you're jumping.
Well, I'm focusing on more than one thing at the same time. All right, that's another thing. But I didn't even PR in sophomore year in football. I didn't even get on the field, varsity. Yeah. They did have JV, which, you know, no one cares about JV. So I was still like learning. Like a lot of those first 2 years were just about like being able to cultivate enough willpower and ability to keep up with that lifestyle, because it's just all year round you're in season. And your football, is a big workload. Of course, college football anywhere is a big workload. But then on top of that, during the spring, you have dual responsibility, like legit dual athlete responsibility. So like spring ball, I would have to wake up in the morning, have practice, and then in the afternoon I would throw and then lift. So it was like, the workload was a lot, but it was like, okay, if I really want to keep up with this, I have to accept it and deal with it. And I think that those time periods really helped me with like being able to cultivate like, all right, like when shit hits the fan, you gotta like focus on like your thing and make sure you're not like, going out partying and drinking and all that stuff. So that was like a good time for me to kind of grow up a little bit. So those first 2 years especially. And then junior year, I ended up qualifying for NCAAs. And I was like, I think I was like 14th, 15th going in. And I got dead last at the meet.
Was this the one that was rained bad?
It was super rainy.
That was in Ohio.
It was in Ohio. Yeah, Geneva.
Yeah.
Ryan was there. Cam was there. I think that was the one where Ryan won.
Yeah.
With like 52. It was just so bad.
Yeah.
I got dead last, and I was like, dude, never again. I feel like less than 40 meters there, bro. It was that bad. Geez. So I worked hard. I finally qualified, and like I just got heartbroken. So I was like, dude, never again. So I had that moment, and then senior year goes. I had a pretty good season. I started, I had a good time. It wasn't like amazing or anything. We went 5-5, and then that ended. I played football before track, so football was like my first love. And then it was just like, like senior year, your last game, and then everyone's like, "Oh, like, dude, this is over and shit." Like we're all balling on the fucking bus ride back and stuff. So that gave me the opportunity to feel like, whoa, like I don't want that regret or like that feeling. It's over. Oh man. So
I never felt that with football. I was always like, thank God this is over.
Dude, that football was my love, man. It was my love. So that gave me extra motivation to really like get into it my senior year. Like, dude, coach, I'm practicing twice a day. I'm doing this, that. So I guess I don't have like this unnatural sense of like, I gotta work hard. I just kind of was able to cultivate what I went through being a dual athlete, because it's just like you have double the workload, and then you have to deal with like two coaches having to harp on you all the time. So that really helped me, my senior year to really bring my PR to like, it was like 49-11 my junior year. I threw that like one time, and then being like a consistent 52 plus by the tail end. Also, not having to do spring practice and track in the same day helped a lot with the workload. But, that uniqueness kind of helped me cultivate into this, workload. And then after NCAA's senior year, being national runner-up, that was kind of cool. Yeah, real cool. I think I definitely wanted to win, but I think I did.
I wanted Cam to win that.
You wanted Cam to win that?
Yeah.
He definitely could have.
Yeah.
He was slightly off and still threw 52.
Yeah, he wasn't proving anything.
Yeah.
I was getting updates from Jason that whole meet.
Oh, yeah.
At that time, I didn't know you.
Right.
So.
Right.
I still would have wanted Cam to win, though.
Wow. I feel the love.
Just because he's balding.
No comment.
So I want to know, like, what was your first take then coming here?
First take?
Yeah, because like I think when you first showed up, DJ and I talked and we met and we're like, I don't know if this dude's gonna last. Like, I want to see if he comes back. Yeah. And then the next day you showed up like 15 minutes late, and I'm like, I don't know what this guy's deal is. Like,
to be fair,
I didn't know you at all.
I didn't know when practice started. The first 2 days.
That's the thing with Dane is that he knows he knows his schedule and never realizes that no one else knows what's in his head.
The only person that knows is Rachel. Rachel's the only one that actually knows. So it's always
100%.
like people are texting me and I'm texting. Dude, I did this the other day on Friday last week. I'm going. I think you texted me. Are we at 2 or 2:30? And I texted Rachel. I'm like, are we at 2 or 2:30? She's like 2:30.
Shoot. Okay.
So
Right.
I guess going back to that, like talking with DJ, it was like, all right, I want to know if this dude's gonna last.
Yeah.
And it was, the other thing was, my first judgment of you was completely stereotypical. I thought you were stoner.
Oh, yeah.
Because your personality is so laid back. Not that stoners are bad. But my first judgment of you, I was like, his name's Legend. He's got dreads. He's just so laid back. You're so just like, hey, and like.
For the record though, we have yet to find a negative thing about Legend. We're on the eternal quest of finding it, but we have yet to do it.
That's why I was saying the other day, I'm trying to break him. I will break you eventually.
Right. I doubt it. I doubt it. If you ask my parents anytime I've snapped, they probably won't be able to say anything. I don't even know. I don't have that muscle. It's gone. I threw it out.
But I think what was cool is that so he and I are sitting there like, dude, we'll see, and then you just kept coming around, and I think you left for a little bit, and then you came back for another week.
Yeah.
And at that end of that week was when we had that talk.
Yeah, I actually came. That was like 3 weeks.
And my brother was roasting you even.
Oh, yeah.
And you just dealt with my brother.
He was like, your brother is such a dick. He was like, what school you go to? I was like, Christopher Newport, down in Newport News. Dude, I love their football team. Actually, I've never heard of them in my life. I was like, what? That was my first interaction. I was like, Dane, who is this guy? He's like, that's my brother.
You're like, oh shit, now I know why I'm a dickhead.
Who are these people? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a perfect segue. So how does a normal person go? How do you deal with that? How do you come into this place and you're like so I wrote this blog this morning and I'm writing it like, dude, I am in the bubble. So with you, it's like I'm writing this going, I don't know how normal people can come here and adapt.
And adapt.
Yeah, and that's what I want to know is like from your perspective, what did you think? Like this is my goals.
Yeah.
And this is the place that's going to get you to those goals.
Right. Well, I don't know. I guess also being a football player on a full team, you get a lot of that banter. Banter. So it's like kind of used to it. But shoot, I mean, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. Number one. Don't take offense to it. Whatever they say, and they will say something. But I don't know. It didn't affect me negatively. Right. I was just like, all right, so this is how they roll, and, kind of keep quiet. Yeah. Usually that's how I do it. I just kind of sit in the background, just see how people kind of function, interact.
Observe.
Yeah, observe. Stay in the background and then creep in.
Before we get into the throwing questions, I just also want to point out, going back, Trevor saying about how we haven't really found a negative attribute yet.
Yeah.
To Legend.
You found it?
No.
Okay.
No. This is he's accurate for the most part currently because I even gave him the duty of when I'm losing my mind on people and I'm like screaming at them. When I like go off and rage, that he's got to be the one who's like my governor. So yesterday I'm yelling at one of the girls.
The opposite of a hype man.
Yeah, like he's like the calm down.
I'll cool it.
Yeah. So yesterday I'm yelling at one of the girls and I'm just like going off, just going to like, dude, I was pissed. Yeah. And I see him out of the corner of my eye, and he's like about to yell, and then I was just like, stop. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. And he like goes and turns around, walks back to the desk.
Oh, that's great.
So he's helping me calm down a little bit, maybe.
Step by step.
Work it
You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
All right. So going forward, I guess, whatever, with coming to the gym, what I wanted to know is when you were in college, did you ever have any technical focus? Did you ever have any technical model that you were working with? Like, is that something? Because even when you did come to the gym initially, I think I might have done a couple technical analysis of you, but I even think like just trying to show you, so that when you did go back to school, oh, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want out of this, and this is why I'm telling you to do X, Y, and Z, and these are the things that you're not getting,
right?
Or you're getting, but you haven't changed yet. And I guess, how did that process of being technical happen? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I believe that out of almost all the throwers, I think Taman's close with you, but I don't think many guys are as technically minded as him. Cam and Sam and Noah are technically minded.
Yeah.
But he's so much more like an abstract technical person. He's like a feel and rhythm type person, whereas I'm more like technical and analytical. This is how it's got to be, and you've changed the way I try and coach someone like you.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll try and just take a step back because I've found myself over coaching you.
Yeah.
If I give somebody a cue every 3 or 4 throws, for you, I might only give you a cue every 6 or 7 because you're getting into your like feng shui in the circle.
Feng shui in the circle. I like that. Yeah. Well, part of that. Well, in the beginning, it was definitely hard because in college I did like all 3 throws outdoor. Actually, not javelin, like hammer, shot, and disc. So it was like only so much of like details of the throw were talked about. A huge thing that benefited me like towards the tail end, like my senior year, was like focusing, of course, on like the analytics, like keep your left level, all that, but like rhythm and like making sure that it's consistent. Like those 2 things were like something that I focused on a lot, because if I learned it, but if I wasn't consistent with it, then it was like gone. And that was a big thing for me, like for my first 3 years. Like I could have a bomb one day, and then the next couple days could just be complete trash.
Yeah.
And that bothered my coach so much. He's like, dude, at least if you're consistent at a lower level, then we can move up. But if you're not, like, if I can't work with you at all, even if you're making bombs like every other throw, then there's nowhere we can go. So part of me thinks about the technique, and then half of me thinks about, all right, consistency, and then feel it out. So like when I'm like in competition mode, it's
automatic.
I shut my brain off. Yeah. That's how I do it, because I like to think of it as just being in the zone and just making it all natural.
Yeah.
Because that's the best I compete at, because it's just like, all right, I'm there. I've already done it a million times. I know the feeling. I know what it is analytically. So then we just show up.
I think too. That just reminds me of what we said this morning when I was like, "Yo, you got 991 more," because I noticed that even at Grand Valley, even though we hadn't been really working together that much yet, that it was more about just having that consistent feeling. And that's the thing, is that you're technically minded, and that the sooner we can imprint the better movement, the more consistent you're gonna be. And the more consistent you are with better movement, then when you get into that competition and the juices are rolling and you're in that like flow state, that's when it's going to come. And I think that's a very hard skill to have.
Yeah. And I think too, like just how you said, like those 2 halves, like the consistency part and the technique part. I think a lot of people struggle with that because they either find themselves in one camp or the other. They're like, they either do the same thing every single throw, and they have a very hard time, either, and it might just be an ability thing, or it might just be how they're thinking about it, but or so either they're in that consistency camp, or they're in the I'm going to try and do something different every single throw.
Yeah.
And every throw looks completely different, and they never have that consistency.
Yeah, then
so I think
finding the bridge.
I think that
two.
like that aspect, and it's something obviously that you need to play with and figure out on your own. But just to have that in mind, I think for everyone, that's something that's good to kind of keep in mind, that balance.
That's like the
duality.
It's like that, and that's like, if you could think of it, these circles here. Yeah. That's like no man's land. So a lot of people don't like being uncomfortable in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
And that's where I think, as coaches, we've got to pick up on someone like Legend can be in that area, no man's land, but he can be there by himself and he can figure his way out as long as we just have a flashlight showing him.
Yeah, there we go.
Whereas as someone like Rachel, she doesn't mind being there at all, as long as I'm standing right next to her and I'm just giving her the cues to get out. But she's okay with that. Yeah. And it's like, you're two different athletes, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's just knowing how to approach each person, and for the athlete, how to just understand it and embody it themselves.
Yes, yeah. As I think that's the hardest part of throwing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you do the same move over and over again. It's easy to get washed in the whole process of trying. Oh, wait a minute. What was I doing the past 3 throws? I was just kind of like going in the circle,
Right.
Yeah. So just focusing on like one part at a time, just one step at a time.
And that's where sometimes with Legend, because I'm not talking to him, I'll sit there and I'll be like, what is he even thinking about right now? So I might just say like, Legend, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
And it'll tell me. I'll be like, okay. And maybe that is what you need, but maybe it's not. Maybe and that's where it's like me figuring him out, because I'm so much of an in-your-face person. Like, what are you doing? Blah blah blah. And you're just like, dude, wrong.
Wrong.
But you're so laid back. So it's interesting for me because, Noah's a little bit laid back. Sam, I can be on pretty much all the time with feedback, and Rachel the same way. But you're much more. I actually do think he's pretty similar to Taman, where he can just get into a groove and figure it out himself. Yeah. So I guess right now, where are you at, mindset wise, technique wise?
Mindset-wise, technique-wise.
High bar back squat versus low bar back squat.
That's for later. So technique-wise, I feel better than ever.
I think today you had like 3 or 4 throws. 1 or 2 or 3 were this morning, and then like 1 or 2 was this afternoon, where I thought you were some of your best throws I've ever seen you take.
Yeah, I'm at that point now. Feels really good, especially like a week out from first comp. So feeling really good. Now
you're competing this weekend, aren't you?
Next week.
Next week.
William & Mary's like the 4th through the 6th is that weekend, Thursday through Saturday. But feeling really good, and I'm not thinking about numbers just yet. Just thinking about that the technique, the feeling, and also getting back in that competition mode, because that. Really,
everyone listen to that there.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Say that again.
Technique, the feeling, and competition mode, because competition mode is really like what I believe is the determining factor for getting to that next level. Because at nationals, NCAAs this past year, dude, a lot of people could have been first, second, third. Like a lot of dudes with talent. But it's cultivating that moment and being like calm in the storm, where it's really like that's where you're gonna cultivate your like max potential. Yeah. So I see a lot of people get like hoorah, like try to get like pumped up. I think it's like all about focus. Like that's where I like pure focus, and when I can find that, that's when I'm really gonna like launch it. So this next week is gonna be like playing with it, like. I'm not putting like any bars, setting any bars, just kind of like playing with how I'm feeling right now.
I almost feel like you could see that at Grand Valley, because Sam threw big early on. Noah was going big. Cam had a decent throw early on, and it was like everybody was amped.
Yeah.
And it took you 2 or 3 throws to be like, I gotta bring it back into me.
Right.
So everybody else might get, or not everybody, but most people might get off on that hype. And you can feed off that, but you also need to recognize yourself. Like, I can feed off the hype, but I need to be internally or more intrinsic with it.
Right, exactly.
At least I noticed that because you brought it back in, and then by the last 3 throws, I felt like you were just a completely different thrower.
Yeah, I think it was like my third throw was like 52, then 54, 53. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like my best series.
Yeah.
Like all time.
Right.
As of now.
And I told him, I said, when we tried to fix Sam's left leg out of the back, I said there was a point where Sam and I were keeping track of, we started at 1,000 throws. And I said, if you can get to 1,000 throws with his lower left leg, we'll keep track of that. And by the time we get to 1,000, you're going to be good.
Yeah.
And we got down to like 375, and then we just like forgot about keeping track. Like, he used to write the number on a circle, and I was telling him this morning, all right, 990 more throws, and then we'll be fixed with this, with him jumping and a little bit,
and that's of doing it correctly.
Left. Yeah, moving well.
Yeah.
And it was cool because Sam was here this afternoon, and I brought up this experience, and I think it's good for you to hear from somebody like Sam that right. He's like, well, yeah, that was definitely 1,000 throws. But I think it took another 1,000 throws to get to that point where it was really set in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing with someone like him, where Legend, you've really just been training by yourself essentially for the last 3 or 4 years. You haven't had, you've had your coaches, but you haven't had like hounding, and now the volume of throws is so much higher for him.
Yeah, that too.
That it can establish that technical movement. It's like an expedited process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes me like more excited than anything for this season, especially more than any other season, because the amount of throws that I've taken in preparation for one season is like probably more than like 10 times.
Yeah.
Easily. Because I spent all fall, all winter, and then just coming to the spring, it's just been so much.
Not to mention how much stronger you're getting too.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could barely push 275 a year ago. Today.
On the bench.
On the bench, yeah.
What are you benching now?
I was pushing 295 for sets of 3.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
more than the max for reps.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Imagine him benching 375 for 3.
Another year.
That's actually.
And snatching like 140.
Yeah.
And then having
high bar squatting.
Yeah.
Over 200.
Yeah. But I think that's what's crazy, is that I just think I think a lot of people are going to be very impressed by you, by Cam, by Noah. And it's going to be real fun for me to watch from the outside, essentially. Not from the outside, but for me to see these people be like, who is this dude?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What? And that's the thing. It's the same with Rachel. It's going to be a culmination of everything that you've been focusing on, that work ethic, and being able to control yourself when it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing where with your attitude is that's why you're going to be so good, because of that. Because dealing with that stress of not being good or not being perfect, and having to deal with the frustration of making technical changes, dude, that's the hardest. That's one of the hardest parts of throwing.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have an up on other people on that because that's kind of where I came from. Like the technique was something that I had to work on because I wasn't nearly as strong as the rest of the people. So. Work on tech, right. And then it'll come. And just being patient, waiting 3 years to qualify for NCAAs, that's gives you a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why that goes back to you, Cam, Noah, Alex, and Taman, I think, is in there. Dude, I think
100%.
It's that same attitude. Of just seeing the long term.
Yeah, it's the long game.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And this change might not make me better tomorrow, but this is going to make me better in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited.
# futures bright.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I guess I always say this with like, maybe I'm a little partial to D3 athletes, but I always think like because, not everything was, handed to us, you had to do it. You had to have that self-motivation to do everything, especially for you doing 2 sports. Like that's you had to have that self-motivation, and that self-motivation carries over to being a post-collegiate thrower as well. Yeah. And I think that's a big leg up you have in a lot of people, just that mental side and that motivation that's going to, I think, get you, throw really far.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just trying to think if there's any other trash talk I want to add. Wow. No, I'm excited, dude. I think I'm excited. What's exciting for me is not even seeing. I don't really care about what you do in April. I don't care what you do in May, because the season's so long. I think it's July 21st.
Yeah, and that's a new thing I'm getting used to. I'm used to mid-March, and then May is like the finale.
Dude, we're looking at right now where if we think about it this way, you've got essentially 9 weeks until June. Yeah. And in those 9 weeks, you're gonna be taking a little over 200 throws a week. And so I actually think it might even be more, because it's gonna be way more, because if you're throwing 5 days a week, 6 days a week, you're taking 9 sessions almost right now. And if we're doing 9 sessions with about 30 throws a session, you're at 270 throws a week. Yeah. Now we multiply that by 8 or 9 weeks, and what you do in April isn't going to be what's going on in June. So you've got so much, 1,800 to 2,400 throws between those this next 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then, then we're looking at another 6 weeks before USA's that we really got to gear up for to qualify, if you haven't yet. Yeah. And I think that's what is so exciting for me, is that because you're a big picture person, you can handle that. Yeah. And I can communicate this to you, and I still think I need to do a better job, because I still haven't put your stuff up on the board like I have with Rachel. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what's really exciting for me, is that it's the big picture, and the technique development, the strength development. Like, dude, you might be repping 315 for triples by June, right? And you have better technique, and it's a whole different animal that we're playing with. So, right, you're throwing the heavies, you're throwing the 2K. Well, you're not throwing the 2.5 right now, but it's just it's fun for me to see how you adapt, and to see how you handle cues. It's like, for me, this is as much of a learning process as it is for you, and that's why I'm so excited, and why Rachel was that same way. Sam's one of the most challenging throwers I've ever worked with, and it's like learning from you and learning from Sam and learning from Rachel. It's like and Lucas. It's like, wow, I'm sitting here going, for me as a coach, I'm learning a lot right now. Yeah. And that's where I'm sitting here like, dude,
taking these little nuggets.
And this is going to make our group even more potent. Mm-hmm. Right. Because then I go talk to Trevor, and it's like, yo, legend XYZ.
Right. And then all D3 throwers, they go and look at that and say, hey, I want to do that too. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. And that's ultimately the goal, is that's a guy. You're the guy I want. You are the guy. I mean, obviously, somebody like Brian Williams hits me up. I mean, he hasn't, but I'm saying somebody like him does.
Let's say he would.
Yeah, say he would. Let's just pretend. I'm obviously going to take him. I obviously would want him to come throw with us, because he would add to the group, because he's a good dude. He's a beast. He's a freak. He's a good thrower. Brian, come train with us.
Yeah, come on.
But anyway, but at the end of the day, if it came down to it, like, I want the D3 guys. I want the D2 guys who haven't been spoon-fed, or like Sam, Ivy League guys. Guys that haven't been handed everything. So, yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into this Red Hot Minute.
Yeah. You kind of tag team some of these.
Who's being lit on fire? Me and Trevor, or
I think Legend is.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch this show?
I thought we go back and forth being lit on fire.
Every time.
Roasting. There's roasting fire going on in the background right now.
Who it was? It was Taman. Taman sent me a picture. He had like a screen, like a big screen up on. He's like, I'm chilling right now, and he sent me a picture of it. Yeah. You like Callus's podcast?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a trip.
He's a very similar not as crazy as Callus is.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's pretty far.
No, but that's the same. It's the same approach.
The
John
approach.
was a guy that you would get into the circle, and if there was an ant in the circle, he wouldn't step on the ant because he'd be like, that ant could like, I want to let it get out of the circle because if I do something negative to it, it could screw my rhythm up. He's such a rhythm guy.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh wow.
It's always like feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to throw like this, like, what does that mean? What's a feeling? That doesn't do anything for me. But Les is like, yeah, that's how you want to throw.
Yeah, I got you, bro.
He's just crazy.
That might be half of it. Yeah. All right. Hit me.
We're gonna go. All right, first. I only have one serious question.
Which ones am I?
Well, there's some semi-serious ones. Okay.
Wait, let me ask the technical one.
What? Oh, okay. You ask it.
Well, which one are you gonna? I wanted to ask that one.
All right, then.
I'm burning over here, guys. Come on.
Why don't you ask your questions first on here?
So which ones are mine? This one?
Yeah.
This one?
That one.
Yeah, this one's definitely me. Yeah.
Jeez.
All right.
You get these?
Yeah.
What about this one?
I'll get that one.
Okay. Robert Harding or Garrett Canner?
Oof. Dude. As a competitor, Harding.
Okay.
Harding.
Who do you watch the most? Like, what do you do when you're going home?
Harding and Alekna, and a little bit of what's his name? The Jamaican guy. Dakers. Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. Just because his left is
similar to yours.
Is similar to mine.
And that's where you want to be with that. I mean, I don't like his
not
left
the
is
leg.
high. I don't like how high it is, but the way it lands.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little high, but the way it lands and dude, he's got a long wingspan. And
his right side through the finish is what you need.
Yeah.
If he would take Lekna's left and Daker's when it lands right side.
Yeah.
Not that Lekna's probably the best ever, but like
right.
Daker,
but putting those two pieces together, that's cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Harding.
good.
Harding out of the two.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because he's boss when it comes to the competition.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can't deny.
D3 football or Division I track? After I just talked all this track on all this trash.
So D1 track like in D3 football, like which one's better? What do I prefer? What are my fans up?
You go back.
Okay. And I choose.
Christopher Newport's recruiting you.
They give me a choice, basically.
Or Penn State.
Or Penn State.
Alabama or wherever.
Dude, I don't know.
This is going to make some of these other questions easy.
Dude. I think I would have had a better time with D1 track. But letting go of football would have, crushed me. Yeah. I would have been regretting it all 4 years.
And, had that urge.
Yeah, I would have been, homesick all 4 years.
So you're going with D1 track?
Yeah, I'll say D1 track.
Okay, you ask one.
Have you been line dancing at Hummel's yet?
No.
All right. Well, so
Legend
lives in
Lenhartsville.
Okay.
And the jewel of Lenhartsville
is Hummel's.
In middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania is CJ Hummel's.
CJ Hummel's.
Yeah.
You've never been there for dinner?
No.
Where are you going for dinner in Lenhartsville?
My grandma's house. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right at home, man. Come on now. I get off at 8.
All right, here's a good one. Would you rather?
Ooh.
No.
All right, you can have one. You can have one of the other.
I think we should save this one for last.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
You want to
Let's.
That's
All right. Yeah. All right. Would you rather be in the NFL, an NFL team, or an Olympic team?
If I'm on an NFL team,
You're making money.
I'm making bank. If I'm on the Olympic team, a couple months after that, you're like, when's the next Olympics? 4 years?
Raise the stakes. Olympic title or NFL team?
Oh, dude, Olympic title.
Yeah.
All right.
Because after the NFL,
save yourself
yeah.
a little bit there.
Yeah.
Honda car products or dirt bike products or Boysen dirt bike products?
Boysen.
I knew that was going to be a little jab there. A little.
Do you know the history between Boysen and
Yeah, I
Honda?
told Trevor about it.
Yeah, Boysen all the way. Even though I drive a Honda.
What's the story there?
Your dad is
People at home?
Okay, people who don't know,
So Legend's grandfather
yeah.
started Boysen
Boysen Engineering.
Engineering.
Yeah. Boysen Engineering started 1973, 1976, I believe. Yeah, it started out making carbon fiber reeds for two-stroke dirt bikes, and it kind of grew from there. Yeah, he's in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. The business is still rolling, but back in the day, Honda tried to steal one of the products, and Boysen actually sued and won some money out of it. So, got some animosity against Honda, but I have a Honda Accord, so it's like, so it's like, damn.
Okay. Wait, what do we have left? Is it that one? Oh yeah. Okay, here's a good one. This is a really good one from me.
From Dane.
And a certain mailman outside. Public Enemy or Meek Mill?
Dude, Meek Mill. Meek Mill.
You
Dude,
kidding me?
old rap is better than new it. Yeah, there's your 10,000 views right there. That little segment. I'm not educated on old rap, and Dane hates it with a passion. But I played 90s, like top 90s hip hop the other day. Made him a little happy.
Dude,
But
I swear that Rachel told you to do that.
no.
Because for some reason, I felt like Rachel knew I was stressed out and like must have said something to you, but it didn't happen. But anyway, when I was like so pissed off when I came to training, and then like you were playing that, and I was like, yeah,
Damn it. DMX, oh yeah. He was playing. Having a good time.
Yeah.
That was fun.
All right, the last one.
All right, last one.
This might be the best. This is the best question.
And I got to give
All right.
Rachel credit for this question, not me.
Oh, Rachel.
But you can have one or the other.
One or the other.
You can
Oh, I'm so excited.
go to the Olympics, or you can keep your dreads.
Oh.
One or the other.
So wait, how long have you been growing the dreads?
Dreads have been around since I was like 6th grade, something like that, 7th grade. Yeah, it happened because one day when I was like in elementary school, I got a haircut, and I hated it. Like it was just short, my head looked weird. I was like, I looked in the mirror, I was like, Mom, I look stupid. Like I was like crying. I didn't want to go on the bus. I wore a beanie all day. I was like, never again, never again. So I just didn't get a haircut, and then my hair was like starting to grow these like little springs, you know, like that real awkward stage of dreads. But I was like 12. I didn't care what it looked like. I was just like running around the neighborhood. So like by the time I was like 13, 14, I had like these like baby dreads, kind of like like getting some weight, falling down. And people started calling me like, "Yo, Bob Marley, what's up?" I was like, "What?" And I looked in the mirror. I was like, "Oh, I got dreads. Damn."
Yeah.
Like it just kind of happened. I had free form, so it's not like I did it by like going to like some place and having
put
twisted.
wax in it or
Yeah,
whatever.
nah, it was just free form, and so I just kind of stuck with it.
Okay, so now back to the question.
Oh,
you gotta
back to
answer
the
the
question.
question now.
Dodging the question. I think I'll be able to survive without the dreads.
All right.
Yeah, you better be able to survive without the dreads.
What if I throw it, and then I'm like thinking about it, and I just step out the It's like, nah, man, nah.
All right, that was fun. So this is my goal, is that when the season's over, and we gotta have Noah on in the very near future, so that it's like we can have this end of the year recap in the fall, and it's like we all just talk about what went on, how the season went, and everything, and Cam on here too. Once his season's over, because I'm excited to see where we end up at the end of the year.
Dude, it's gonna be a blast. Big things are happening.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning into the Throw Show. Peace.